Hello, good afternoon. Hello, hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are, whenever you are warmly welcomed to our webinar. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Kenneth. Glad to have you here.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, and nice to meet you too. I think you are from Elta Africa. Am I right?
Yes, but presently I'm in Thailand. I'm not
Wow,
in Africa.
wow, wonderful. You are based there, right? Thank
Yes, I'm
you.
based in Thailand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. I think we may wait for 3 or 2 minutes for others to come, and then we are going to start or yes, rolling or let and keep the ball rolling.
Okay.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, let me share my screen. Can you see my screen now? I mean, is my screen very visible for anyone?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Yes, wonderful. So let's get started. Yes, before we start, let me just revisit what we talked about in uh, the first webinar. So actually, I'm so glad, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so glad to have you all. We have our brother from Thailand, Mr. Kenneth, and we have Dr. Maha, and we have Nadima Khan, we have Klaus, we have so many, and I'm so glad that many to come for this webinar. You are cordially invited to attend this session, and let's share some thoughts, because as you do know that, and I sense deeply in my bones that sharing is caring. When you share, it does mean that you do care. But let's first of all, before into delve into animal and human language communication, part two, let's revisit what we talked about in the last time. Okay. First of all, we talked about uh, animal and human language. We talk about signals. We do have two kinds or two types of signals in animal and human communication. So the first one is called uh, communicative or communicative signal, and the other one is called informative. So when we are talking about informative signals that you do know, or the ones that you are talking to, the listener and the speaker, the addresser and the addressee or the interlocutor understands that what you are talking about. So, and this is uniquely confined to human beings. So when we are talking about when you sneeze, I can tell that you caught a cold. So you didn't tell me, but I can detect that. So I am informed intentionally, unintentionally. Okay, this one thing. The other thing is when you are applying for a job. So when you apply for a job, you are intending to do so. So here it does mean that you know what you are doing, and the addressee knows that you are a job seeker, you are searching for a job or job hunter. This number one. Item number two we talked about last week was properties of human language. Why human language is so unique or human specific? Because when it's come to communication, animals do have way of communication, right? But when it's come to human being, their communication is so unique. So the uniqueness, where does this uniqueness come from? Okay, so first of all, we have the so-called reflexivity. So animals, they can reflect upon what they said, but in our language or whatsoever language may gonna be on earth, because as you do know that there are the so-called language filer. Okay, so we have the Afro languages, we have the Asian language, we have the Afro-Asiatic languages, we have the Indo-European languages, and so on. Okay. Hopefully that my voice is very clear.
Yes,
Uh,
I'm getting you clearly.
okay.
Yeah.
So wonderful. Thank you. Yes, unfortunately, they will not be certificates for the time being, but maybe later they will be virtual ones. Okay, so I'm thinking of why don't we have certificates at the end of the webinar? So it's a good question. You are raising a very wonderful question. Thank you, Ms. Maha. So let's take the dogs. So if a dog's barking to another dog, it doesn't mean that he's talking about something or warning or whatsoever. Okay. And even that dog, they can it can reflect upon what the other talks. But we gave a very crystal clear or clearer than crystal example of a human being, and we took the example of teacher-student relationship or teacher-student relationships. So when a teacher talks about something that's very difficult, the student reflect about that, whether it's difficult, why he's using such a difficult terms, and so on, difficult terminologies, and so on. Okay. The other fact that we talk about displacement. So first off, we talk about reflexiveness or reflexivity. And the other one, we talk about displacement, which is confined to human beings. And it says that some birds, they do have way of communication, okay, as displacement. And it's very clear that according to the studies, bees can do so, but in a very limited mode, okay? Because they cannot go for future or past actions or events, but they talk about right here, right now, okay? So these are the things that we need to consider. I think there's another fact that we talked about last time. I'm doing this as just a recap because I need to link what we have done, what we have talked about with what's going to be, okay? I think we talked about arbitrariness. So, and this is refers back to in 20th century, was called the father of linguistics. I think one of the fathers of linguistics, Ferdinand, the Swiss linguist, Ferdinand de Saussure, okay, who was come to semiotic and the relationship between the sign and the signified and the sign and the signified, or the science, linguistic science, and the object. Okay, so when you're talking about the signified and the signified, we say chair, which is English is chair. In Arabic is kursi. In French, I can't recall, but I think is let me say chaise, right? So and yeah, so there are different languages that I do recall, but we are talking about the same object. So it means that the object and the linguistic forms, there's no any natural connection between them. There's no any kind of or sort of natural connection between them. I think so far this is regarding what we have done last week and what we talked about. So now let's think bigger and deeper and delve into our second session. Yes, animal and human communication too. Again, I would like you to take a closer look or a closer look to these two pictures here, the two photos. We can ask ourselves, is there any relationship between the two photos here? Okay, the answer for this is coming. Okay, this is called cultural transmission. So one of the features, okay, of human language is cultural transmission. So some of us or all of us have been culturally transmitted or transformed, right? Okay. While we may inherit physical features such as brown eyes and dark hair from our parents, we do not inherit their language. That's so true. But how? Let's, delve or dig deeper into it, okay? We acquire language and culture with us speakers and not from parental genes. Dr. Yuan Kang Shin is the director of TESOL, professional training programs at the English Language Center at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, UMBC. So this is back to the question that we just raised. An infant born, baby born to Korean parents in Korea, but adopted and brought up from birth by English speakers in the United States, will have physical characteristics inherited from his or her natural parents, but will inevitably speak English. Why? Because raised, brought up from different culture to new culture. And culture is a big umbrella where we find languages, religions, and so on. So it's inevitably he or she speaks English. That's why, as you have seen the twin over there, two girls there. Okay, because our webinar deals with animal as well as human. So let's see what do we have in here. Again. For those who are interested in Tom and Jerry, right? Okay, a kitten given comparable early experiences will produce meow, meow, regardless whatsoever, okay? This process whereby a language is passed from one generation to another, from one generation to generation, the next is described as cultural transmission. Cultural transmission into two converted commas. So it's clear that humans are born with some kind of predisposition to acquire language in a general sense. Predisposition means a natural ability, an inborn skill, innate, something that they've born with, or they are born with, or they were born with. However, when you contrast two ideas, we are not born with the ability to produce utterances in a specific language such as English. We acquire our first language as children in the culture. So, again and again, however, when you are contrasting two ideas, we are not born with the ability to produce utterances, the noise that we make as human being in a specific language such as English or French, Cantonese, Thai, whatsoever. We acquire our first language as children in a culture, the culture that we were born with or we were born in. So the general pattern in animal communication is that creatures are born with a set of specific signals. And this is again, we refer back, anaphorically speaking or cataphorically speaking, is that we talk about communicative or communicative signals as well as informative ones. Okay, so are produced instinctively, something they born with or they are born with. Okay, something innate in them. So not like us human beings. So because our webinar deals animals as well as human beings. So again, the general pattern in animal communication is that creatures are born with a set of specific signals that are produced instinctively. There's some evidence from studies of birds. They develop their songs that instinct has to combine with learning or exposure, okay, in order for the song to be produced. Birds are singing, right? Okay. The answer to the previous slide is if those birds spend their first 7 weeks without hearing other birds, mimicking, hearing, imitating, they will be instinctively produce songs or calls, and that's so true. They can, but those songs will be abnormal in some way. It's not that the one that they used to or they need to be acquired. Okay, so that's why we said is a set of form or set of signals. On contrast, human infants growing up in isolation produce no instinctive language. Again, human infants, we talk about animal infants or babies or creatures or whatsoever, growing up in a certain location. But here we are talking about an infant, human infants, growing up in isolation, separately, produce no instinctive. So one of the features that we can say that human is so unique or specific to human being, language is specific to human being, that we produce no instinctive language, right? So cultural transmission of a specific language is crucial in the human acquisition process. And this is, we will talk about this in other webinars or upcoming webinars. Again, cultural transmission of a specific language is crucial in human acquisition process. Just the example given that a Korean baby or a Korean infant raised and born or raised in the United States. So, of course, he or she speaks English. And then let's move on to something else, which is called duality. But I think that, okay, we have 5 minutes. Duality is another feature of properties of human language, or another, yes, properties or feature of human language, okay? So human language is organized at two levels or layers simultaneously, okay? And let's look at this, levels or layers, there are two. What are they? So this property called duality or double articulation. Double articulation. So think deeper or wide about it, a bit wide about it. In speech production, and those who are teachers, instructors, doctors, they know that we do have the so-called place of articulation and manner of articulation, right? In phonology. So in speech production, we have physical. Yes, in speech production, we have physical level at which we can produce individual sounds like N, which is a nasal sound, B, which is bilabial, and I is a vowel, so vowel is free, okay, as individual sounds. None of these discrete forms have any intrinsic meaning, okay, in themselves, okay, the sounds. But let's see this. In a particular combination, such as bin, trash bin, whatsoever, we have another level producing, yes, sorry. Okay, again, in a particular combination, okay, such as bin in one word, okay, another level, which is bin, we have another level producing a meaning that's different from the meaning of the combination in nib and nib of the artist that he writes with, or he writes with, or a sharp top of the pen. In English, we call it nib. Okay, so here we have two different forms and two different meanings. But again, the sounds are the same. Okay, like bin. Another one, just we change the words. Okay, I and B. It doesn't sound English, right? It's very awkward if you say inib. Okay, so we don't have something like this. It doesn't sound natural, right? Particularly if you are talking to a native speaker. Okay, but when you say a pin has one meaning, or and we have nib. Okay, and if you look up the word in dictionary, you'll find that it has different uses or usage. So at one level, we have distinct sounds, okay? B, bilabial sound, I, which is vowel, and N, which is nasal, right? So, or enigmatic one of enigma, okay? Enigmatic sound. And another level, we have distinct meanings. So this is confined again and again and again. This is confined only to human beings. So we don't find such things in other animals. So let's take this. This duality of levels, in fact, one of the most economical features. And economical, let's draw two lines underneath. Okay, features of human language, because with a limited set of discrete sounds, a limited, finite, okay, set of discrete sounds, we are capable of producing a very large number of sound combination or words which are distinct in meanings. Another characters. Each communicative signal appears to be a signal fixed form. So for us, is stimulus free. For us as a human being, the language is stimulus free or free stimulus, okay? But for other creatures, we don't have this because they do have single fixed form that cannot be broken down into separate parts. Although our dog may be able to say, wow, okay, or woof, woof, woof. I'm happy to see you. Happy to see you. It doesn't seem to do so on the basis of a distinct level of production combining the separate elements of W, WO, and F. So W plus OO plus F. If the dog was operating with the double level duality, two layers, then we might expect to hear different combinations with different meanings, such as oof, I'm hungry, or foo, I'm really bored. So, so we are coming to the end of the webinar. Thank you, all of you. Thanks a lot for coming in. And before letting the door open for or the floor for you, just let me share with you something which I think might be helpful. Okay, let me share this with you. Regarding this session or this webinar, I think there's something that I need to share with you, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready before we start?
Yes,
Hello?
yes, yes. I'm ready.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we have a game, and games nowadays are sine qua non, okay, in terms of education and so on, and particularly edutaining games, particularly edutaining games. So I would like us to start with you this game. And if you please, you can scan this QR code. If you please. Yes, will you please scan this QR code? Hello? Will you please go in?
Hello.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Will you be able to just uh, play this game? Let's play this game together if you don't mind. Can you please scan the QR code? No worries. There's no winners or losers. Just we would like to, in a way or another, to recap, okay, or summarize what we talked about. If you don't mind, will you please join? You can scan just only the QR code. Kahoot, one of the best games that I think in the field of education. So it makes sense if you are doing this with your students, and students like to compete with this the other. So it's kind of fierce competition for them.
It's like, how can I scan?
Yes, will you please scan the QR code? Yeah, I need only 2 or 3 players, and we will go. Hello?
I'm like using my cell phone, but I don't know how I can scan it.
Yeah, just if you scan the QR code, you will automatically be. Or you can
So can
write. You can write, as you can see from my screen, join at www.kahooted or with the Kahoot app if you have the app. But if you don't have, you can do it online. Or you can scan the QR code. Even from Facebook, if you can, those who are following us live on Facebook, they can try. It's gonna be another value. I'm waiting for players to come. It seems that so far there's no a single player. Shall we call it off? Shall we cancel that? Okay, it's gonna be next time, inshallah, when we finish this webinar, okay?
no, I'm trying to scan.
Really? But I think I'm waiting
I'm
for
trying to
others
scan, but I
because we
can't
have
join. I
only
don't know what's
four.
happening.
We have Kenneth and Maha and yes,
Hello?
Mr. Shakur. So if you can, the three of you,
Hello?
if you can scan the QR code, it's gonna be wonderful. If
I say
not, we
I'm
can
trying
leave
to
it for
scan, but I
next
don't know
time.
why I can't join.
Yeah. So it's fine. Let's leave it for the next session or next week when resuming our webinar. So thank you, all of you. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate your time and I do appreciate your attendance coming here. Yes, let me stop sharing my screen. Yes, thank you, all of you. If you have any question, really excited to have more. If you have any question regarding the session, or if you have any comments, so you are warmly welcome to share your thoughts. Yeah, no more questions. If you have any question, you are warmly welcome. If not, thank you very much indeed for your time. Thank you for coming in or tuning in, join us. I'm so glad that you are here. So if you can, let's see each other virtually next week. Yes, Dr. Maha, do you have any question or Mr. Shakur, if you have any question or Q&A or comment, sorry. So I'm ready to answer.
Well, hello.
Yes.
Hello, Mr. Professor Akram. How are you?
Thank you, bro. Thank you. Thank you, brother Shakur, Muhammad Abdul Shakur. I'm so
Yes,
glad
sir.
that at least we met virtually.
Of course, after a very long time, man.
Yes. Yeah, it's really so long. It has been so long. But as the song says that I know uh you will be there in my mind, right? It has been easy to be there for me, but you will still in my mind. You will stay in my mind, right?
Yeah, I am still here in Oman, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really wonderful. That's That's really wonderful. Thank you, Miss Maha, for coming in. I really do appreciate that. I highly appreciate your joining us or coming in. So I hope that you can join us next week on our next webinar.
Oh, yes, Mr. If
Yes,
I may have something to clarify, although I have come a bit late,
yes.
I am very interested in, the topic that has been discussed. It's really very advanced.
Thank you. Thank you, bro. It's
And
quite touching. I am
no,
moved by the way that you talk about it.
no, really, I am always interested in, the language variation and especially the pronunciation and the sounds and everything. As long as, you talked about the animals' language, human language, whatever. It is not confusion, but I may need more clarification in terms of ambiguous, overlapping of English language sounds. So many people are complaining that learning language sounds is completely difficult and wasting our time. And nowadays, the students of today, they need quick result and they need to do everything fast.
Okay. If I may, I would like to take some notes, by the way.
Definitely.
Okay.
So I am saying nowadays, as English tutors, we are we are facing as students who are very, they are in hurry. They need a quick result. For example, last week, an IELTS candidate come to me and they said, we are taking IELTS in just 7 days and we want to score 7.5. You must make us achieve that by 8 days. And if not, there will be comment on your teaching. And you will find those kind of people, they don't have even the basics. They don't have a very good pronunciation, everything. So one of them said something that today I wanted to ask you before we finish, is that they are saying the pronunciation does not have a rule that we must stick to, especially when it comes to long and short vowels. So why should I find double O give me oo and one O give me oo and OA can also give me O and something like that. And they're saying why we have double E, the sound E, and one E, the sound E, and EA also can give us the sound E. I wanted us to actually clarify more. And if we may, I found out that we as an English teachers, we stuck behind those textbooks that have been actually given by the natives. So I don't know if you got what I am trying to explain.
Yeah. Yes, I
Thank you
really
very much.
got it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for raising such a I'm not gonna say trouble questions, but these are very deep questions. Okay. So when you are talking about English sounds, yeah, now as you do know that there are so many Englishes, right? And there's language variation in terms of the standard and the dialects, okay, or the so-called dialectology, right? So this is very vast, and inshallah, I'm gonna tackle this area when it's come to phonetics and phonology. I just schedule this for later sessions or upcoming sessions. We will be talking about phonetics and phonology in details, and we'll try to our best to tackle these areas, okay, in terms of pronunciation, okay, and in terms of the sounds particularly. And here I'm referencing three scholars. We have Peter Roche, we have Francis Katemba, and Roger Lass. Okay, yeah, and there's a Camella too when you are talking about suprasegmental phonology. Okay, but this is another thing. Okay, this is deep into the specialty or the specialization. But when it comes to us, I think they are talking about tics and tricks. Okay, they are not talking about the language in specific detail, in minute details, right? So they would like something as a takeaway. So you're gonna just teach them the tics and the tricks. For example, let's talk about writing. So writing is say number one, right? Say one or say number two. So they are just like a template or frame that if you follow it, you achieve high scores. I mean, band score 7.5, maybe 8 if you have full command of the language, right? But the fact that some students, they don't have this full command, solid ground of the language, but yet they achieve high scores. Why? Because they knew or they were taught about the skills that we need when conducting the exam, when sitting for them, when doing the exam. Okay, so in terms of techniques, yeah, I do agree with you. So we need just to give them the tactics and techniques in terms of handling the exam, because 7 days we can acquire, unless you are Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, who studies and who learned Hebrew in 7 days, right? But this is something is really very unique, right? Again, in terms of pronunciation, yes. So there's African pronunciation, there's English, British, American, all this kind of variation, okay? And there's a so-called dialects. So there's the standards there, but there are some dialects. Just like Arabic, we have so many dialects. And this is so as exactly in English. So we do have many Englishes now, right? Even Egyptian. So this so-called Egyptian English, right? Nigerian English, Ghanaian English, and so on. Hopefully that I answer your questions in terms of English sounds and pronunciation, because there are no fixed rules to follow. Okay, but inshallah, Mr. Shakur, if I may, if I'm alive, just like Celine Dion says, I am alive. So if I'm alive, inshallah, there will be a session or some session regarding the micro linguistics. So I'm gonna tackle this area, but later, inshallah, maybe next month. Okay, we will be dealing with macro linguistics and micro linguistics, but for sure, 2 or a couple weeks from now, we are going to talk about advanced linguistics. So we may hint or give some insights regarding English language acquisition. Okay, we will be talking about Chomsky and his lad. Okay, and we'll be talking about Ferdinand de Saussure, Sabine Wolf, and all these scientists. So we'll give some hints regarding these areas. Yes, if I'm alive, okay? Hopefully that I answer your question, my friend.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akram. I really appreciate that.
Yes, thank you, bro.
Yes.
And inshallah, we will talk deeply, or we dive deep into that later in the upcoming session.
Sure,
So
sure.
thank you. I see that there's Fituko, and then we have our friend Dr. Muhammad Sulaiman Khair is here. And thank you, all of you, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. We have Miss Maha here is with us. So thank you, all of you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so glad that to have you. Let's see each other. Let's meet each other virtually next week on Tuesday, the same time at 5 p.m. KSA time and 2 p.m. GMT. Okay. Thank you very much indeed. I'm so glad that you made it. Okay, even if it's virtually, but this is so-called life, right? Life has changed, and we must change with it, right? So thank you very much indeed. And if you have a question or comment, I'm ready to answer before we wrap up or wind up our session or our webinar. If anybody or does anybody have a question or comment? Okay. Thank you. It seems that there's no question. Thank you very much indeed. See you next week, inshallah.